he was out and about with the two coworkers, Scott and Ben, and Scott started talking to these dudes on the street, and then the dudes was like, oh, like he was like, come on, like let's keep going. And then he said he noticed the dudes was following them, so he tried to like not check the dudes but be like, oh, like y'all good, like y'all need anything? And they was like, yeah, we gonna need that, like basically give me what you got. And he was like, oh, you not gonna get what I got. So then he said that they jumped him and that Scott and Ben ran off. I'm gonna spoil.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Huh? Yes.
Look at you. Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all pay. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in.
So you just saw part 1 through 9. Now we're going to continue with part 10 and so on. Can you believe this man's audacity? Let me know what you think about the first part, and let me know what you think about this video, because some men will always show their ass. And the fact that he was doing all of this, knowing that the girl don't smoke, knowing that, you know, she basically do not want him, but he still continued to push anyways. And slapping your friend is crazy. Just because you don't like liars is giving very much this man is a liar. Because what do you mean? You hate liars that much to the point where you had to slap your friend who you're out with or your co-worker? This man, there's so many red flags, and I'm glad this girl was actually the way that she is, and she basically was able to peep a lot of things that was happening, because in my opinion it's because they weren't sexually involved. Because a lot of time when you're involved sexually, your visions are clouded. So let's get into the.
So like I said, he was here and we were at the house. So I was just like, the next day, I do like to go to shopping centers. So I did take him to Walnut Creek, because I think he only been in like Oakland area in San Francisco. So I'm like, I don't know how far he's been out. So I was just like, oh, we could go to Walnut Creek. They got some shopping over there. So we could go and get some stuff. Like, do you have funds? And I'm not asking so that I could buy it for him, but I'm just saying if it was even necessary for him to come, because he didn't have his stuff. Apparently, Ben, the one he has to bail him out of jail, had gathered his belongings from the ex-girlfriend. So I'm going to call the ex-girlfriend Jessica. That's not her name, but I'm just going to call her Jessica. So he gathered the items from her, and he was like, oh yeah, I have to get my stuff from him. Like, is it okay if I let him bring it here? And I'm just like, well, what stuff? Because you said you had a whole apartment that she kicked you out of. Like, are we talking furniture? Like, what you talking about? And he was like, nah, it's just a couple bags. I'm like, okay, whatever. But he was trying to figure out like how to do that. So I'm just like, in the meantime, I guess he was like, he'll buy something. So he ended up coming with us. I had to go to my eye doctor. So he ended up getting some food next to my eye doctor. And that was fine. He got it. It was like some crunchy chicken or something like that. And then we went to Walnut Creek so he could buy some items. So one of the first things he bought was sandals, slides, because he was in the jailhouse slides and he didn't want to wear those. And he didn't want people thinking he was a prisoner and whatever. I'm like, okay. But while we there, we shopping, we minding our business. Me and my cousin, we going in and out of stores. He's sitting outside with my mom and just like venting. So he talking about this girl. He would not stop talking about Jessica, like just saying her name all the time. So freaking annoying. So he's talking to my mom. I'm in Victoria's Secret. I'm out of my business. I'm shopping. I got some coupons. And me and my cousin, we just looking for different things. And she trying on stuff because she'll go out shopping, but she don't really buy stuff for herself. So this was like one of the times where she actually like bought something. So she's like taking her time. So as I'm there, I'm like going in and out, cause she's taking a little minute to buy something. And I come out, he talking to my mom about Jessica, and he was just talking about some of the things that occurred with them when they were intimate. I'm not going to share that portion of it, at this point, but he was just like sharing like some things. I'll share like one or two things, but and he was talking about that. He was like, yeah, how could you do this to me? Like, you know, I don't want to get too intimate or to give too much information. Like, this is TMI, but you know, I was told like my stuff is curved, and I'm just like, yeah, it's time for me to go. So I ended up going back in the store when it came to that portion, because I don't want to hear that. And then when I came back out again, then he was talking about like his time in jail, and he was talking about how he was in like the maximum security like jumpsuit, like I don't know what to call it, but there was different color jumpsuits, and he was in one where it was like you got more serious charges basically. And he was a bunk mate with somebody who caught an M. And me, I am very much not educated on all this. Like I know some people who got some charges, some priors, some currents, and some futures, but I don't know everything about the jail system. So he was just saying like, yeah, the guy said he caught an M, and I'm like, what is it? What's an M? A million? He was like, he got an M. Or starts with an M, end with an R. So I was just like, oh. And he was like, yeah, I was uncomfortable. Like, I didn't want to be in there with him. Like, I'm over here, like, I'm tweaking out. Like, yeah, we know. So that's basically what he was saying. And he's trying to explain it to my mom. My mom dying laughing. One thing he could do is tell a story. So she out there laughing, they kikiing or whatever, but he's still in his little depressive state. So he did end up buying something from the Macy's, which was a size, and then we went to Zara eventually, and he bought like a couple outfits. Like he was buying outfits, and we just like, okay. And then we ended up going to the outlets, and he ended up getting like a hat. Now, mind you, this is when Ben met us. He met us at the outlets. So it's the San Francisco Premium Outlets, but it's actually in Livermore. And Livermore is not in San Francisco. It's actually a ways away from San Francisco. And this man lived in San Francisco. So he drove all the way from San Francisco to give that boy his stuff. Like, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like, he don't want it. And I probably should have noted that, but I was just like, maybe he just don't want, everybody not cool with jailbirds. I'm not either, but they don't bother me in the same way. I just know people who've been in the system, basically. So he dropped them bags off. Didn't even make eye contact with us. You would think that we at that point, we all still worked at the same place. So he dropped off the bags, and we just like, okay, it was like a suitcase in a bag or a duffel bag or something like that. So I'm just like, okay, that's not a whole bunch of stuff. That's not a big deal. So he's like, I'm about to go into a different part, but basically we took him back to the house, and we at the house. He was like, do you want me to like leave this here? I was like, no, you don't have to leave it in the living room. You can bring it into the bedroom that you're in. So he did. And then he started falling into this little depressive state. Now, in the beginning, I still wasn't talking to him like that. Like, I'm just trying to do you a solid for a couple days, whatever. So we sitting in the living room. When I say we, it's me, my cousin, and Trey. We sitting in the living room, and I think at this point we offered to do like a movie night. So he was like, yeah, I'll watch a movie with you guys. So me and my cousin, because we was going to watch, it was either Castle in the Sky or Spirited Away. I think we attempted to watch both at some point of him being here. So we was watching it. He was like, do you think we could pause it for a second? I'm just like, okay. So then he goes into this rant about Jessica. Like, oh my goodness, I just don't understand how she do this to me. I'm like, okay. Like, we said our 2 cents, and then we played it again. And when I say he was a broken record, he would repeat the same thing over and over and over again. So annoying. So this is just kind of like his early stage of being at this house. So he did that, and then we were also talking, I think before we even started the movie, we was just talking in the living room, and he was showing my cousin his Instagram and his music, and he was like, this is where he started to just lie about weird stuff. So he's like, yeah, a really popular song or whatever. And she was like, oh, like, let me see. So she looking at it, and she was like, oh, you paid for this? He's like, no, I didn't. She's like, yes, you did. It say boost again. Like, she was like, I know about this. Like, you paid for this. He's like, oh, I mean, well, so he did pay for his stuff to be promoted. I'm pretty sure a lot of his followers were paid for as well. I don't believe that they were genuine followers. So it was very interesting. Like, mind you, that's not something I care about. That's not something she cared about. So I don't know why he lied to us about it. There was another thing that he lied about. I guess he stumped into his shoes, and it made the back like stick together. And she had asked him if it was like a shoe brand, like a luxury shoe brand. He was like, yeah, it is. But then when the shoe got stuck, he asked for our help to fix it. So as he asked for our help to fix it, I went to help him, and we noticed it was Steve Madden. So it wasn't the shoe that he said, but it was kind of like a imitation of it, like a bootleg version of it. And she was like, why would you lie? Like, you said it was this and it's not. And he was like, I mean, I was just saying. So he lied about the shoe brand. He lied about him being as popular as he was on Instagram. And this is just things that he was lying about. So we was just like, okay, whatever. We took it with a grain of salt. But then we was like watching a movie or whatever, and that's when he kept stopping. And I was like, yeah, watching movies with him is not going to be a thing. So that was one thing that he did. But he wouldn't stop talking about this girl. Like, how could she take me off my lease? I just don't understand. Like, and he just kept bringing up the same things. Now, mind you, at one point when he was out with us, he said that she told his car. Oh my goodness, she told my car. Why would she tell my car? The car that we never saw, but he said that his neighbor sent a video of his car being towed. And we just like, okay. So that was just some of the things that happened in the couple of days that he was here. So after this, my cousin and my mom like, oh, where's he gonna go? Like, what is he gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I never asked him. But at that point, the way that they was asking, I felt like they was low key like guilt tripping me, like, oh, maybe you should let him stay longer. Because the whole point of my friend saying my friend was coming, she was coming, but she was coming like weeks later. I had just told him that so he wouldn't feel comfortable and understand like this is a short term thing. You need to go. So at that point, they kind of like guilt tripped me. So I was like, I mean, I guess he could stay longer. So far, he hasn't been a problem. And I guess he really doesn't have anywhere else to go. So I'm just like, I'm being nice. So I'm like, okay, you can stay a little bit longer. So I told him after like day 2, like, okay, you can stay a little bit longer. My friend, she pushed her date back. She's not going to come until this date. So that's what I told him. So he's like, oh, thank you. Like, he seemed appreciative of it. So he ended up staying longer. Now, mind you, while he was here, he was out of my way. He wasn't bothering me or anything like that. Like, he stayed in the room. He typically would be out all night and then just be in the room all day. And he also kind of kept my cousin occupied. Not like she's a child or anything, but I feel like sometimes when I come home, it's like I don't have energy to like speak or do certain things. So they would kind of tire each other out. It's kind of how I viewed it. And so they would just engage, like, and I didn't have any issue. And like some of their encounters was funny. Like that's when he actually became funny to me, not him per se, but like her reaction to him was just funny. Like their encounters and like the stories she would tell me about like what they would discuss and stuff was funny to me. So he was cool in the beginning in the sense of he didn't bother me because he was out of my way. Okay, so part 11, I'm going to try and talk a little bit faster as I realize some of the previous videos seemed a little long-winded. I'm mentioning, everything that I'm mentioning is important. Like, it's important to the story, which is why I'm mentioning it, because I touch back on it and it's giving me like aha moments later on in the story. So I'm saying it for a reason. I'm not just trying to just give a whole bunch of unnecessary information. Everything it comes back. It comes back around. So that is why I'm mentioning it. So part 11, I'm at the part where he basically came to the house and we caught him on like random lies. Like he's just telling us stuff just to tell us stuff. Why? I don't know. But yeah, so we just caught him in like random lies. Now, in the early stages, me and my cousin, we are like doers. So we try to get things done for like ourselves or just different things. Like we'll take care of business when it comes to handling things. So we trying to guide him low key through what he got going on. So my biggest thing was, you need to get your ID taken care of. You need to get your car out of the tow company. And then what are you going to do when it comes to your belongings at the apartment? So first I'm like, the ID. You need an ID because he kept applying for jobs, but he didn't have any identification. And I'm like, part of it is you have to tell them that you're like authorized to work. You have to provide the proper documentation and whatnot. You can't do that if you don't have it. Not only that, it takes time for that to come. And one thing you don't have here is time. Like you don't have a lot of time. So you might as well, handle things while you have somewhat of a roof over your head for the next week. But he was kind of like dragging his feet. And then also the apartment, I had asked about the apartment. Now, one thing about the apartment that I didn't mention, my coworker had asked him like what his rent was. And he was like $2,900 or $3,900 or something like that. And we both looked like, that's how much you're paying. I'm like, you could find something a lot cheaper. Not a lot cheaper because it is the Bay Area, but you could definitely find something cheaper because the position that he did at the job, they don't make that much money. So I'm just like, there's no way that you can afford that. And if you can, you're using all of your money basically each month to pay for that. And you say you got a car note, like it just wasn't adding up. And my coworker was like, yeah, you definitely need to get a different place. And I had mentioned this place again one time because I was curious if his apartment was a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. And this is when he was still kind of low-key trying me. But I was asking because my cousin, I was like, is your apartment a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? And he was like, why? Are you trying to move in? I said, no. I said, my little cousin is trying to move apartments and you're kind of like local in the area. So I'm just curious as to like what kind of apartments your building offers. He was like, oh yeah, it's a 1-bedroom or something like that. Yeah, it was 1-bedroom. So I was just like, okay, that was like the weird thing about the apartment. So when we was asking like, are you going to get your stuff? Like what's going to happen? He was like, oh yeah, her mom is going to bring me my stuff, the rest of my stuff. And I'm like, the rest of your stuff? Like, what do you mean? Because you said you had a fully like furnished apartment. So when the mom came, she brought him a box with like a journal in it and a box of open grits. I said, okay. And he was like, yeah, she must really still care about me because for her to get all these belongings, she really had to like look for it and get it from me. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. And then the tow truck. So, I mean, the car. So when he was here, my cousin was like, oh, like, is you going to get your car? Like we both was asking about it. And at one point when he was here, he got on the phone and called the tow truck company. Important. He got on the phone, had a conversation with the tow truck people, and whatnot, and she overheard him talking to them on the phone, when he was talking to the tow truck company. So then eventually, like when I asked again, he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna let my parents deal with that. They pay the car note anyway, so I'm not gonna deal with that. I'm gonna just leave it to them. Like it's gonna be their problem." I was just like, "Well, that's inconsiderate." But speaking of parents, he needed his birth certificate in order to get him an ID. I don't know why I'm stuttering like that. In order to get his ID. So he was like bugging his mom to send it, and was being kind of like real irritating about it. Like at one point his birthday came and she sent him an edibles arrangement, and he was like, "Well, she should just send me like my birth certificate. Like I don't understand why she didn't send this." And my cousin was like, you need to be grateful. Like you're so inconsiderate and ungrateful." And then I was just like, "Well, this didn't come from Louisiana. Like she ordered it and they probably sent it from a place nearby. Like this didn't come from there. It's a different process. So she didn't send this from the house. Like I don't understand why you're so upset, but okay." Because she sent him like some balloons and the fruit or whatever. But then it took her a minute to send a birth certificate. And even I was like, "Oh, you could just get it offline." So I'm asking for his information. I'm putting it in. When it came time to pay, he was like, "Oh, well, I'm going to just try my mom one more time. I'm going to try my mom one more time." He like expected her to just stop her life and just, hop into gear to give him his stuff. And I'm like, she a grown woman. You grown too. You put yourself in this position. She don't have to stop her life to help you get yours back on track. That's my mindset. Whatever. I feel like, don't nobody owe you nothing. Not even your mama, but whatever. So that's one thing that I was saying. Now I was like, "Well, why don't you get your passport?" So I'm like, and getting the passport, you can get it like quickly. Like my cousin, she got robbed when she was out here. They just went into her car while she was at the gas station and took her passport. So I knew how to kind of get like a passport with a quick turnaround time, because they got it like 2 days before she was supposed to go back to London. So I was trying to like put him on game with that, and he was just like not hearing it. So he was so unserious when it came to all of this. But when I mentioned the passport, he said he already had a passport and his dad had it. But his dad is a hoarder. He's a narcissist. He wasn't going to give him his passport. Like this is the things that he's saying. He also mentioned that his dad had brain cancer at one point, and then he didn't have it. And then he also mentioned that his dad liked to put hands on his mother. So that was something that he remembered, and he would never do that. He would never be like that. Like he just act like he didn't like his dad. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what the story is, but I ain't here to tell you your trauma ain't your trauma. But also he mentioned another thing about his mother was that at one point she did try to take her life, and he walked in on that, and I guess he was the one who found her. So that's another thing that was a part of his trauma that he mentioned. Now I don't know what's true, what's not true at this point, but this is stuff that was mentioned. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But we was just basically trying to help him get everything together. Now, when it came to him being here, anytime anything went wrong, he was just drinking. Like he would drink almost every night. He would go to bars every night. And me personally, I didn't care, because that ain't got nothing to do with me. In a sense of like, I wouldn't see him drunk, but I would see like him constantly ordering bottles. I would see him drunk, but when he got drunk, to me it was annoying. He turned like goofy. Like he didn't get like completely wasted in front of me per se at first sometimes, but he would drink a lot and get really drunk. And it was just like always when things wasn't going his way. Even when things was going his way, he would still drink, but I felt like it got worse when like things wasn't going his way. He would just take it overboard. So that's something that I noticed. Now, when things would go wrong, initially early on, like my cousin, she'd be like, "Oh, text him, tell him come back. Like, tell him don't be out all night." And me personally, I wasn't doing it. I don't care. Like, you can stay out all night if you want to. Like, you don't have to be here. But she would do that a lot. And I think initially from my point of view, she's like afraid of a lot of things. I swear she feel like everybody outside bite, like it's zombies walking around. So she was like, he shouldn't be out there at this time of night, like downtown Oakland, like that's bad. So I think it's coming from a caring place. Like she didn't care about him enough because she didn't know him like that. But I think when she would say that, it wasn't because she was like into him or anything like that. But it was just like, outside is scary. Like, why is he outside at this time of night, especially in that state of mind? Is more so where I feel like those comments came from. But I wouldn't ask him anything. Like, anytime I did mention it, was because she was like, "You should tell him to come back." So I did. But eventually they exchanged numbers, so I didn't have to say nothing. But during the time he was here, Jessica did file for a restraining order. And she also called his mom. So he said she called his mom and said that he put his hands on her. She, a little demean warning. He put his hands on her. She broke her arm and all these different things. She had bruises. He did all these different things. And his mom called and was very disappointed and was having a discussion with him. He was like, Mom, I would never do that. You know me. I would never do that. You know me. And he even said that sometimes to me, like, I don't know you, brother. But he was saying that to her. And, I think he was like, because of what she's been through, she know I would never do nothing like that. And so that was like what he was saying. And he was depressed and went out drinking again. And I'm just like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So his stay extended a little bit more because my friend canceled and he wasn't a huge bother. He still kind of kept himself because I work during the week. I don't engage with him like that. The most I would engage is probably on the weekend. And it was like group settings. So it'd be him and my cousin arguing. And I thought it was kind of funny whenever they bicker back and forth because they had like a different kind of relationship. I don't even want to say relationship because I know she don't want to be associated with that man like that. But their encounters was a little bit different because I believe how he viewed us was very different. Like when it came to how we would speak to him, she was bad cop, I was good cop, bad cop, because she was not filtered and I was more passive with the way that I would handle things, and she was very blunt and in your face. Like she called him a wino, a crackhead, like she called him everything but a child of God, and he would come back for more. Like I think he loved it. I think he loved her energy when she would do those things. But I'm gonna get more into their interactions in a minute because it is relevant. Okay, so my cousin and his relationship, I say relationship loosely because I know she doesn't want to be associated with him and they weren't like in a relationship, but they interacted with each other more than I did with him. I think in her head, she thought we were like friends, but I kept trying to explain to her I carpooled with him and I assisted him one time when he was locked out of his house. I'm like, other than that, I'm like, he a little young minded, he a little immature, but I was like, I mean, for the most part, I don't think he's too crazy. He was able to work at the job. I'm sure they did a background check. Like these are things that I'm giving the same. That's literally how I was thinking. I know some people may find that hard to believe, but that's just literally what it was for me. I felt bad for him, so I'm helping him out. I don't really like him like that, but I don't dislike anybody at the time enough to just like be so cold and so mean. So I was decent, and because he also knew my mom, like she'd be like, oh, it's okay, like she'll say stuff like that, but she didn't know he's crazy either. And so they interacted a little bit more. They would watch movies together. One of their movies that they would watch a lot was Norbit. And they would like quote it a lot. And he was Norbit. And he would sometimes call her Rasputia. She don't look like Rasputia or anything like that. It was just the way that they would just talk about the movie. Food. He would ask her to make him food a lot. And in the beginning, I think she would like, okay, like, I'll try. I think she felt sorry for him too about his situation. He's kicked out of his apartment, just got out of jail, lost his job. Like, car gone. Like I think it was just more of a pity party. So she would do it, but she don't even cook for herself like that. So it was like simple stuff. But she would just like do it every now and then. It wasn't all the time. But I think he was like expecting like every morning he wanted her to cook something, and she would go back and forth like, I am not your girl. Like I'm not doing that. Like so she would basically cuss him out. Washing his clothes, he would ask her to help him wash his clothes, and basically she was low key doing it. But I feel like he always acted like he didn't know how to do any of these things. He would like pretend like he didn't know how to do any of these things. But it was kind of like, when I say that, he one time came and knocked on my door and was like, hey, what you doing? And I'm like, why? And he was like, can you come here for a second? And then he was like, can you like, so he has some spaghetti noodles and some some marinara sauce, like sitting on this counter talking about some, can you, I said, absolutely not. I said, if you would like for me to like walk you through it, I could tell you. I mean, I'm like, everybody makes spaghetti different. I'm not a chef, but I can walk you through, some of the basics if you like. So he was like, yeah. So my cousin in there, she kind of like hear me talk to him. I was like, yeah, you go ahead and get you a pot. You put some water up in there. You go ahead and start boiling them noodles. And he was like, I was like, you could break them if you want to. Some people do, some people don't. It's up to you. And then I was like, with the meat, like he didn't have no meat, but I think it was like some hot dogs or something there. I was like, yeah, you can go ahead, cut that up. You're going to get you a chopping board. And she's like, yeah, you're going to learn today. And I said, go ahead. And she was like, yeah, go get you a knife. She was like, we know you familiar. So we're laughing. It's dark humor because he said the girl came at him with one. So we like laughing. He laughing too. We had some dark humor going on. So Yeah, I walked him through it because I was like, I'm not making you no food, brother. Whenever I cooked in the house, it was like for my family. So if he wanted some of it, he could have some of it, but I wasn't cooking for him specifically. And my mom even made a comment like, oh yeah, she cooked you some food. No, I cooked some food and he could have some of it, but it was not for him specifically. I don't even know what he likes or anything like that. But when he said that, when I was helping him with the food, I'm like, are you pretending like you don't know how to cook? Because he mentioned that his ex-girlfriend was vegan, and that one time he was cooking him some food and it was some meat. It was like some steak, and she was scrubbing the hell out of the pan because she didn't like that he used it. And I was just like, so do you not know? I was like, how do you know how to cook steak, but you can't cook anything else? Like, are you pretending? And he was just like, no, I know how to make some stuff here and there. But like the stuff he named, I'm like, I feel like you kind of have to be a bit of a cook to know how to do that. So I'm like, I feel like you're pretending. But that was some of the stuff. Now, she would do stuff for him, like not consistently, but every now and then, because early on she got over it. And she would make him do stuff like, oh, can you take the trash out? Can you grab this? Can you do that? Like she would make him get up and do some stuff that, other people probably, like my other cousin, he wouldn't do it. So that was something that was interesting. And then with them, they went to certain things. So like they went to the zoo, they went to a comedy club, they went to like, I think there was an Alameda at one point. They were going to go to a concert. So like they had more activities like one-on-one. I didn't have any activities with him one-on-one. Whenever I did anything with him, it was the three of us, or the three of us and my mom. So it wasn't just one-on-one. So in my head, I think that he felt like they had a closer relationship because he would tell her things that he wouldn't tell me. And I feel like his views on us was different. I feel like he saw her more as an equal, and then he saw me as somebody like an authority figure. So I think that's why we engaged differently. Like there was things he wouldn't tell me, but she would tell me, and he would sometimes be upset if he caught wind of something that she told me. So I think that just kind of helps me when it comes to like the way that they would talk to each other. When he was applying for jobs, she was helping him with something, and like she grabbed his computer a certain way. He's like, don't grab my computer like that. I don't even grab my computer like that. Nobody does. And she's like, I don't know who the you think you talking to. He's like, but I ain't your mom and I ain't Jessica. Like, don't talk to me like that. She's like, I ain't got to help you. So she going in on him, and he just kind of like laughed it off. But she was like, don't talk to me like that. But overall, I just feel like he felt more comfortable. One of the things that he mentioned or she noticed around him, and like he would confide in her, was his Netflix. So they were gonna go watch a movie. Like I said, they'd be watching movies, and they was gonna watch a movie, and he was like logging into his Netflix, or he was logged into the Netflix or something like that. I think he still had Jessica's password, or it was hooked to his computer or something like that. And when she saw it, she caught a glimpse and saw that his name for his like icon, like his profile, was "I'm so sorry, Jessica, I love you," or like "Sorry, Jessica, I love you." It was something like along the lines of that. I know it's only so many characters, but he put that there, and she was just like, that's a little weird. And at one point, she was like, "You should just log out of that." He was like, "No, I can't do that." He's so dramatic, but that was like one thing that he was like kind of confiding in her about, or like things that he noticed. Like he felt more comfortable with her knowing things than he did with me knowing things. So there was things that I didn't know that she knew until after the fact. But that was just kind of like how their day-to-day relationship went. So I'm trying to figure out, is there anything else that I need to mention? Oh yeah, she did send like text messages, and they were funny. Like there was one where eventually she got tired of him asking for food. Like I have a video where she came in the house, and he was like, "Oh, what you got? I'm hungry." She said, "You need to get your own food." And she was like, "EBT, you qualify, you need to apply." And he was just like, "No, but I want some of your food." And one thing about her, I don't want to call her stingy, but she is very much Mr. Krabs. Like she's not spending money on different things. Like she is not about to buy him nothing or anything like that. When he was interviewing for his jobs, he didn't have any toothpaste. I buy in bulk, so I had toothpaste, but I didn't know that he needed it. But when I leave, like doors are locked. Like I lock my door and different things like that. So she was talking through like, "Oh yeah, you need to brush your teeth. Okay, yeah. So what you should do is just like when you go to your interview place, just get there early, go get you some toothpaste, and then brush your teeth in the bathroom." And he was like, "I got a follow-up question." She's like, "Yeah." He was like, "How do you brush your teeth?" And she was like, "With toothpaste." She was like, "Yeah, but my toothpaste is in like a little container that I be using." Like she just went into this whole rampage in the sense of, "You're not using my toothpaste." So he also had this not this dynamic, but she wouldn't give like up a lot of stuff. Like every now and then she would buy him something, but she would bill him like, "Oh, well, you need a case of water? Okay, I'm gonna bill you." But he always would say he got money, he got money, he got money. So in the beginning, he was offering to buy me some stuff, I guess, because he was like thankful for it. And that's when he had bought her some DoorDash. She was like, "Oh, do you guys want anything? Like, I can buy it for you." And I was just like, "No, I'm cool." She was like, "I'll take some." So she ordered from a sushi place called Kansai out here, and it's important. There's a reason why I'm mentioning it. And I didn't order anything. But then after that, like, he always would be like, "Oh yeah, because I got money. When my grandma died, she left me a lot of money. She left me like $15,000." And I'm like, I'm not saying $15,000 is not a lot of money, but depending on what money you've had access to or how you view money, that's not really a lot of money, especially not in the Bay Area. Like, that can go quick. So he would say stuff like that. So he was always like bragging like he had it. So like my cousin would be like, "Oh, well, why don't you go ahead and get me some food or something?" And then eventually he was like, "You always asking for food." It's like, well, you was always bragging about your money and made it seem like it was nothing. So you can't really blame her. He never bought anything beyond that Kansai, and I think he only bought it initially because I was sitting there and he was trying to kind of like make a good impression, I guess. So yeah, that's just kind of like how their dynamic was. I'm not going to do any further video about their dynamic. And then I'm going to do a video about like our interactions while he was here, because it's painting a picture. It's to paint a picture. Okay, so when it comes to my relationship with him while he was here, we didn't have a relationship. We didn't interact much. When we did interact, it was usually like in a group setting. It was never like one-on-one. When I say group, it was like me, him, and my cousin, or me, him, my cousin, and my mom. So he would ask me to watch movies with him or with them, and I would say no. After our experience with Spirited Away, I was not interested. We did watch Castle in the Sky like next, but that was me and my cousin. He eventually just came in there and sat and still tried to do the same thing. When he asked me to cook that spaghetti, I was like, "No, brother." I walked him through it, like, and I was like, "I'm not eating it, so you tell me if it's good. You know what your taste buds like. So if you don't like it, you blame yourself." Tried to help him get his birth certificate, and I was online trying to find it. He was like, "Oh, I'll just wait for my mom to send it to me." So he was weird, but he did try to use my address. He asked me, he was like, "Oh, can I use your address?" I never said yes, that he could use my address. I basically was just telling him like things that you need to do in order to get it. Like, you need to update, you need to have a California address. You don't have your ID. I was trying to see if he needed a birth certificate. Like, I called and whatnot, and he was like, "Yeah, he needs these documents." I was like, "Okay." So I told him the things that he needed. As for, you had to provide mail to show where you live, like something with the address on it. But he never received any mail here. I never gave him a piece of mail. Like, I was in control of the mailbox. The mailbox was locked, and I never gave him a piece of mail. And the reason why I'm in control of it, or why I have a lock on it, is because there are other people who try and use the address. And I didn't want them to have access to it. Just an open mailbox. So when I receive mail for people who do not live at the house, I would send it back to the post office. But he never received anything. So that was something that's interesting. And then he did end up getting a license, but he showed me a copy of it, like, "Oh, got my license," because he was so happy. And he showed me a copy of it, and it had like to mail, like to send it there. It didn't say like residential, and it was the address to the house, but I didn't realize like that's what he was putting on the ID. Also, he went to the library to print stuff, but I thought it was the documents that you needed to sign for DMV. So that's just a learning lesson. There was a night when I was sleeping that he jiggled my doorknob. Now, my doors are always locked. I keep my doors locked. That's just the thing. I lock almost every door. And he jiggled the doorknob. And I was just like, why did he do that? Now, mind you, the rooms are right next to each other. And maybe he'd be drunk or something. But I don't understand where that was going. So I just chucked it up to, oh, maybe he drunk. It was dark. Maybe he didn't turn on the hallway light. So he thought this door was that door. I really don't see how that could happen, as the door is way closer to the door than my door, but whatever. So that is something that he did. And then something else that he did that I think was like specific to me was he tried to tell me stories to change my perspective on our coworkers. Well, it wasn't his coworker anymore, but at the time I was still working there. So he was trying to tell me stories to change my perspective on them. So he told me how he lost his phone in his wallet was because he was out and about with the two coworkers, Scott and Ben, and Scott started talking to these dudes on the street, and then the dudes was like, oh, like he was like, come on, like let's keep going. And then he said he noticed the dudes was following them, so he tried to like not check the dudes, but be like, oh, like y'all good, like y'all need anything? And they was like, yeah, we gonna need that, like basically give me what you got. And he was like, oh, you not gonna get what I got. So then he said that they jumped him and that Scott and Ben ran off. I'm gonna spoil it right now. Later found out that was not true, but he said that so I could like change my perspective on them. Also, he said he broke and like lost his phone. But at this point, one of my coworkers told me that he said he got a new phone because he was kicked off the dating apps. And I was like, how could you be kicked off all the dating apps? Like, I'm confused. He was kicked off the dating apps and he got the phone so he could have a new phone number to create a new profile with a different name. Interesting. So he told me that. And then also, I think he did that specifically about Scott and Ben because he was jealous of Scott. When he was at work, he would be so jealous about how he thought everybody else perceived him as like the good one and didn't want, perceived Scott as a good one and didn't want Trey to be like around basically. So he would try and change my perspective. He also showed me a video of someone, I won't say who it is or what the relation is, but we both knew this person, and it was of them doing that booger sugar. And I'm like, he was like, when he first showed it to me, he was just like, look at this, like, this is crazy. Like, how did he, this is just crazy. This is what they be doing. And my mom was like, oh, is that something that you do? And he was like, no, like, I would never do that. Like, I was just there. I said, so you were just there watching them do that? He was like, yeah. So, interesting. And then when he was here, because he was doing job hunting, and he wasn't so successful in it. So like I said, he needed his ID. So he applied for a job, and he was trying to do tech, and the people gave it to him. Like he said, he impressed the interviewers. And I was like, oh, does he need his ID? Because his ID was supposed to be coming in the mail. And she was like, no, he said he don't need it. My cousin, she was updating me basically. She's like, oh, no, he don't need it. But he got the job and he just has to do like something. And then later on, it came out that the job found out that he had DUIs. And they wanted him to explain the DUI. So he needed to give a reasonable explanation of that because they did a background check. And they pulled the fact that he had DUIs and they did not want to hire him with the DUI. So he needed to give an explanation. He couldn't give an explanation. And basically, he didn't end up getting that job. But I was like, how do you get the job before you get the IDs? Stupid. So that was something that occurred. He also, like, when he was here, he didn't hug me. He didn't do any of those things. I only say that because I think he felt comfortable enough to, like, put his arm around my cousin and, like, be playful in that way. He did not try me in that way. So that was not something that occurred. But also, I want to mention, he was not involved with either of us romantically. We're both older than him, and we both looked at him like, ew, you're a child. But he mentioned to my cousin, he's like, yeah, this is the first time that I lived in a house with women that I didn't do anything sexually with. Like, he said some comment like that, and she was just like, okay. And to be honest, me and her, we're both prudes. Like, I'm a bit of a prude, she's a bit of a prude in our own way. So this is the wrong house to think that you're going to have that kind of energy. Like, we just don't move that way. And I know some people may think it's impossible, but that's my truth. I don't know what to tell nobody. Okay, so like I was saying, I just put like another note here. I said, from our interactions, I came to the conclusion that he kind of looked at me as like an authority figure and kind of like respected me in a sense and didn't look at her like that. He looked at her as more of like an equal because of the things that he would mention. Like he would mention her like, oh, do you think they'll let me stay here? If I like pay them money, like he would always ask her for like advice, but he wouldn't come to me with that. I mean, if he did, he would be like in a different tone. So that was something that he would do. And I said it was like a good cop, bad cop thing because she was very blunt and I was a little passive in the sense of I was trying to filter and not be so blunt because, if somebody going through a hard time, I don't want to kick them while they down, whether I'm a fan or not. I'm just not malicious in that way. So that was kind of my mindset. But I will say while he was here, I was always giving him updates. So I was like, my friend, she's coming this time. Okay, well, she canceled. And she did cancel. She got a kid. She got a life. Like, she can't just, she things go on. And that's okay. That doesn't bother me if people cancel. But she did. And unfortunately, they're messing with me a little bit in this way. So I would always give him an update. Like, okay. And eventually I did give him a move out day. I was like, yeah, you're going to have to be gone by this day. You have to be gone by this day. And, I let him know. I sent him text messages. I gave him updates. I was telling him like, sending him like, this is a cool place. That's a cool place. And he agreed. Like he understood that he must go, and that this was not a place to stay. Like, this is not a room to move into. It was just more so for a temporary thing. For a temporary thing, that's one thing, but it's not a permanent solution, so you have to find something else. He understood, we agreed, and that's how we move forward. So that was just my interactions with them. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is just some of the ways or some of the places that we went with him as a group, because I feel like those group encounters were important, especially one in particular. It was very important. And then I'll go into what he said about his ex while he was here, just the things that he said. And then I'll go into how ish got real. When everything hit the fan, I'm going to go into that. So it's about 2 more videos before I get into that. But everything that I'm saying is relevant. There's a reason for me saying it. Okay, so I'm going to try and stay on task. I have on shorts, so I know I look like I ain't got no, but I got on shorts. But basically, we tried to take him to certain places to get his mood up, because he would bring down a mood. He was just always in his funk, and it was like, okay, I know you're here for a short time, but you get on our nerves. So we took him to the park. It's like this park with a trail, and we took him there to like clear his mind, because she was like, he walked to the liquor store to clear his mind. He crazy. So I'm like, go get in touch with nature, fresh air. You do a little trail, see some beautiful sights, and he brought down the mood when we was there. So that was annoying. Then we was going to the gym. My cousin and I was going to the gym. I have an Equinox membership, so I had invited her to go take a class with me, and she was like, oh, you should invite him, see if he want to go. And I was just like, okay. I invited him. When I invited him, we was like, work it out, get exercise. It's supposed to help relieve stress and stuff. And he was there just down in the dumps. He did try to like help us with machines, or help me with machines, because I didn't really know how to do any of the machines. And I'm like, y'all, I'm weak. So he helped us with like 2 machines, and then he went to go be depressed somewhere in the corner. And mind you, he was funky. He didn't shower. He didn't shower like his whole time being here. Water probably hit him like 2 times. He wasn't here for super long, but 2 times is not enough interaction with water. So that's basically what he did. Was here. So after that, I was like, I want to go get some oysters, because I was really craving some oysters. So I'm looking at places, and there was a place in San Francisco at the Ferry Building. So that's where we went. I ended up parking. I don't know where I parked now that I think about it. Oh, I think I parked closer. I don't know where I parked. But we ended up going to the pier. And we was at the Ferry Building, basically. And we got some oysters, and we ate, and then we ended up leaving. And then the next day I was like, let's go to Santa Cruz. Like, I want to go to Santa Cruz. I want to go to Santa Cruz. And then she was like, yeah, like my cousin was like, I ain't been in so long. So we went, like, I think she went and got like some bathing suits and just like little pieces or whatever. So we did that, and then we went home. So I was like, okay, well, we gonna wake up at this time to go to Santa Cruz. I want to get there early. So I'm saying this, and he was like, yeah, okay, he want to go, she want to go. So then the next morning comes around. He stayed out all night. He came back in at like 6:30, and I just happened to look at the cameras, because nobody was really responding to me when I woke up to like, y'all ready to go? My cousin, she did, but she was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. My body's sore, because she went to the gym. She was like, my body's sore. I don't think I'm gonna make it. And then like later on, she called. She's like, I think I could go. So when first she was like, yeah, y'all could just go without me. I was like, I don't think I'm going with him nowhere by myself. So she ended up being like, okay, I'll go. Like, I think I'm feeling better after I moved around a little bit. I'm cool. So she got up to get ready, and I'm texting like, you going with us? So she was asking when she gave me like, is he going? I said, I don't know. He ain't responded. Mind you, the rooms is right next to each other. But I didn't go over there or go in or knock or anything like that. I don't know if he's sleeping nude or I ain't got time to be seeing none of that. I really don't want to see none of that. So she ended up like going in. He was clothed. I think he was under the covers, and she was just like, you going with us? And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. So he ended up getting up and going. We drive up there. The drive was peaceful because he was asleep. We was playing music and whatnot, and we just chill. It was a chill little drive up there. We was late. It was a lot of traffic. And it was hard to find a park. We ended up finding a park in like this like parking lot kind of to the side. Is the all day $5 parking, if you're familiar. So we found that one, and it was cool. We went to the boardwalk. We having a cool time, but he's going in and out of like this depressing state. Like, he's cool one minute, next minute he not. And then she like complained about that. Like, you bring it down the mood. Like, this is a beautiful place. This is a nice place to be, and you over here sulking and all up in your feelings. Like, this is just so annoying. She was like, you do this everywhere you go. And he kept bringing up Jessica. She was like, you stay bringing up her name. You keep bringing up her name. She's like, every time you mention her name, you're gonna have to give us $1, because I'm tired of it. We're tired of hearing her name. Like, this is basically what she's saying. And we'd be like, yeah, like, and one of my conversations with him during that time, I was like, yeah, I don't get why you are so stuck on her. Like, you said she did you so bad. Like, if somebody did you that bad, you should be able to move on. Just move on. Like, I really don't understand. And he was like, yeah, I know, I'm trying to get better. And as I'm having this conversation with him in the line, because I would be blunt at times, but I wasn't as blunt as my cousin. So as I'm in the line, so he's like, oh, like, what's your relationship? I guess because I was talking to him like a little boy, she thought that was like my brother. And I was like, no, we're ex coworkers. I didn't even say friends. We're not friends. So that's basically what was going on. And he was doing that all day. Now, he told her during this time, like, oh, his friend is in a psych ward and he just reached out to him and he ain't talked to him in years and he don't know why he reached out to him. He's like really messed up and he trying to get his life together, but his life is all over the place and he feels bad for him, but he just doesn't understand why he reached out to him. So now he back to being depressed. Like, it was just an emotional roller coaster. And my cousin, she was right for the way that she felt, because it was annoying. We spent $80 on the wristbands and here you is moaning and groaning about what's going on. About everything. Like, enjoy the time that's here. You got all day, any other day, to sit there and complain. So that's what was going on with that. So at one point, we was done with everything basically, or he started drinking. Oh my god, he started drinking. So he started drinking. I think we had walked to the car to change into our swimsuits. So he had already had like a drink or two, and he was buying one when we was walking back. Like I said, he was buying one when we was walking back from the liquor store. And then we went to the beach to like sit down, but it was cold at that point. So I had bought a blanket and a sweater and we sitting there and he's still talking about this girl. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is too much. And my cousin was like, you have main character syndrome. You think everything is about you. She was like, you don't ask nobody else about their day, what they going through. You think everything is about you. And he was just like, okay, you're right. So he asked me like one or two questions about my life. And then he went on back to his life and just talking about how it was so bad. And he was talking about like his parents and stuff. And one of the things I said, I was like, you talking about parents. I'm like, nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to excuse your parents or invalidate your feelings, but I feel like at the end of the day, parents are human. People try to hold them to such a high standard. Parents are human, and they're able to make mistakes as well. And not only that, there's not a pamphlet for like how you should and shouldn't do things. Every child is different. Every situation is different. So I'm like, at this point, you're grown. You're in control of your own life. Yes, those things happen to you, but now at this point, it's up to you to turn that around. Like, I don't understand like what you're talking about. And then he mentioned my dad, like my dad said something to him. My dad don't talk to him. My dad walked into the business that we work at and had engaged with him because he needed some help with something. And while he was standing there, I think he said something like, oh yeah, we be acting bougie, but we used to live in the hood and all of this. And I'm just like, okay, that ain't nothing. When he said it at first, I was like, what my dad tell you? He didn't say nothing to that boy. He felt like it was something, but that was nothing. He just talking. My dad just talking. So yeah, so he was saying that, and then after that, we was just like, okay, we so sick of hearing this girl name. So he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here for a minute. I'm just gonna leave everything at the beach. I'm just gonna leave her here. I'm just gonna leave Jessica. I called her Jessica. I'm just gonna leave Jessica here. And then I'm never gonna speak about her again. He's like, you're right. And so he went and was sitting there drinking his liquor, looking out into the ocean, watching the waves, and like just trying to have a moment. I'm like, he's like, just give me 10 minutes. So we sitting there, it's starting to get cold. The wind blowing, and we like, yeah, the sun gone. It's cold. You need to wrap this up. So he was like, 5 more minutes. We was like, oh no. He playing like music off his phone. I said, yeah, it's time to go. So eventually we get up, we leave, and we just get like our last little bit of food, go into the bathroom and whatnot before we leave. So we got our food, we ate our food. Before we left, it was like some fried zucchini and just like different stuff like that. It's just like carnival fair food. So as we're doing that, we ended up walking, and he was like, had his arm around my cousin, was like, yeah, I really do appreciate the things that you guys do for me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know it can be a lot, but I'm going through a lot with my heartbreak or whatever. He's like, but I really do appreciate the things that you do. And then as he's walking, he has his arm around her, but he notices some girls like looking at him. I guess they thought he was cute or something. So he noticed and he peeped. And as he's doing that, he was just like, yeah, she not my girlfriend, like loud in her ear. So she realized he talking to somebody. She turned around and was like, he's homeless. And then he just was like, why would you say that? He was like, I am. He was like, but why would you say that? So mind you, I'm walking ahead. I didn't hear none of this. I didn't see none of this. So as we kept walking, I walked into the bathroom and he walked in behind her like, why would you say that? Just so loud. And he's laughing, but it's like a goofy, drunk, annoying laugh. And he was just like shouting that. And then she was like, I'm sorry. I said I was sorry. So then she walked into the bathroom and basically met with me and told me what happened. So yeah, he was like, why would you say that? So she was like, I'm sorry. She's like, I was just saying anything. Like I would have said that about anybody. She's like, I just happened to realize after the fact that it was true. She didn't look at him as homeless, but when he was like, yeah, I am, she's like, well, I guess the shoe kind of fit. So she's like, I'm sorry. And he kept bringing it up. I said, look, she said she was sorry. Okay. She rarely do that. She said she was sorry. So let it go. But as we're like walking back, he's still like fixated on like he would go in and out just on that one point. And I was like, okay, he kind of obsesses over things. And I said that to him when we were sitting there. I was like, you seem obsessed like about the girl. He was like, well, yeah, I kind of am. And she did tell me like I had issues with like smothering, and I was like smothering her. So after I had said that on the beach, and then he was obsessing over what my cousin had said, I'm like, this is too much. This is way too much. And then we're walking back and he's still drinking. He bought another drink. Like it was his last one or whatever. And we're walking back to the car. As we're walking back to the car, he just decides that he wants to stop and pee in the middle of nowhere. I said, oh no, like you are out and about. Like you need to at least tuck into a damn bush. And he was just like, oh yeah, my dad wouldn't let me do that either when I was younger. Sounds like a reasonable man. Now I don't know if I understand everything that you just said about him, because that's reasonable. You know, it sounds about right. It sounds like he's the one who tried to keep you in check and you didn't like that. So he was like, yeah, so he ended up like tucking in and going to the bathroom, and I'm just like, yeah, you need some hand sanitizer and all that. Like you touching your stuff and you think you about to get up in this car touching up on everything. So we gave him some hand sanitizer, and then we made it to the car, and then he had to throw away that liquor. You ain't get in the car with an open container. You need to do what you need to do, finish it. So then we driving back to the house, and as we driving back to the house, we in a car, we jamming, we listening to Joe, we listening to some Maxwell, like we cool, we on our grown woman stuff, we minding our business, because there's a significant age difference. I'm 5 years older than him, and I think she's like 6-7 years older than him. So we jamming, we cruising or whatever, and then he's like, can you play Ayo by Chris Brown? And we was like, no. And then he asked again. I was like, okay, whatever. We played it. We played one. And he's like, can you play that again? Absolutely not. What happened to your headphones? Put them back on. Why are we not doing this? So then he ended up putting on his headphones, and we continued to cruise to the house. We make it to the house, and he sleep, knocked out in the back. It's giving drunk sleep, okay? So I tried to wake him up, like, hey, get up, Trey, we here, wake up. He didn't wake up. Then my cousin had, Trey, wake up. Like, he didn't wake up. But my guy cousin, who also lived in the same household, he was like, he shook him like, and then he popped up like, what's going on? So we laughed, and I was like, oh, I guess to take a man touch, because it didn't work with me and my cousin. And then he was just like, oh, what happened? I said nothing. He just shook you. We couldn't wake you up. So we still giggling, because we making little jokes back and forth amongst each other, but he just all bug-eyed and weird. So then I get in the house, and I'm minding my business. I went to take me a shower. We was sitting on that beach. Like, one thing about me coming back from Santa Cruz, a shower has to be had, even if I be tired, because I came back 2 days ago from it, no, yesterday, and I was so tired I had to take a shower. But yeah, so I'm in the shower, I'm minding my business, and everyday shower is every day I take like an everything shower. Like, I just be doing too much in the shower, and I enjoy it. That's my peace. That's the one place I could be alone and mind my business without nobody bothering me. So I'm in there, and then my cousin, she calls me, and she was like, yeah, I think you might want to check on him. Like, he's having a hard time. I don't know if he called her or what, but she was like, yeah, I guess he felt some type of way about our cousin, like, shaking him. And she was like, yeah, the comment you made, like, oh, it takes a man's touch. I guess he had something happened to him as a child, so he just felt like he did something to him, like, inappropriate. And I'm just like, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm not equipped for this. Like, I am not, oh wait, I don't want to make it, I got shorts on, but yeah, I'm just like, I'm not equipped for this. Like, this is too much. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I don't understand. He's too damn needy for me. Like, and I get that's a serious topic, but at the end of the day, I'm not equipped or skilled in that department, and I can't facilitate those kind of conversations, especially with somebody who I really don't have much like compassion or like empathy for. Like, I pity him to an extent, but it's like, I don't believe that's a conversation that should be had with me, period. I'm not gonna make fun of you. I'm not gonna say, oh, you know, that something happened or something didn't happen. That's not for me to say, but I do not have the energy for this. So I was just like, oh my God. So then I hung up, and then I went to the room, and he in there in the dark. I knock on the door. I don't even think I put on clothes. I'm getting this out of the way. Open the door, brother. So he opened the door, and he was just like all depressed. He had the phone, and somebody talking, and I'm not even tripping off who talking. Somebody talking on the phone. I'm like, you good? And he was like, yeah, you know, it's just, I got a lot going on. I was like, yeah, she mentioned there's something going on. You felt uncomfortable with what he did or what I said. And he was like, yeah. I was like, look, I just said it took a man's touch because you wasn't waking up when me and my other cousin was doing it. But you woke up when he did it. And then also I was like, and we laughed, but I told you what it was, but clearly you must didn't hear me. I said, but yeah, we are, you know, all related. We ain't about to sit up there and watch him do nothing weird to you. Like that's weird. One, we don't want to see that. But two, yeah, it just don't make sense. But I'm just like, you know, and he was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm on the phone with Scott. And Scott was going a full blown prayer. Okay, it almost sounded like a sermon when I was listening to. I think he listening to a sermon or something. It's Scott on the phone praying for him. I'm like, okay, I don't know what kind of relationship y'all got going on, but whatever, you know. Hope you good. Went on by my day, and at this point, you done ruined my little routine. I be lighting a little candle, shower be on, steam be on, be lotion and layering, and it's ruined. The whole ritual, routine, whatever, is ruined. But yeah, so that's what happened with that trip. Now there was another instance where I had took him to go see my not to go see. We went as a family. My family's very welcoming, so we went to my little cousin's birthday party. This was just not even a fraction of my family. Like I have a lot of family, and this was just like a small little birthday party for my little cousin. We went, and he got into it with my friend, my cousin's friend's boyfriend. And I guess the boyfriend thought he was trying to make a pass at his girlfriend. He was like, she not even my type. Like, oh, boy was trying to fight him right then and there. And they was like, oh, everybody needs to calm down. But I guess he was fighting the case too. So I don't know. There was a lot going on in the household. But yeah, so he was like trying to come for him, basically trying to beat him up. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, that's not that deep. He was like, she not even my type. Like, I don't even go for girls who look like her. And he wasn't lying. And thank God he don't, because she's sweet as can be. And I think she's just one of the sweetest people. And even her boyfriend seemed like they probably wasn't equally matched when it comes to personalities, because she's very sweet and not short tempered, like just a very bubbly personality. So for her to even experience that, I felt bad. And it was because I brought him. He didn't seem like he did anything wrong at that time or in that moment. I don't know if he did later on, but that was basically what occurred. So those was our interactions, trying to uplift him and make him feel better. And it clearly didn't work. And it just was weird interactions in general. But all that I said is relevant. It's important. Now, the next video I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about like some of the things that he mentioned about Jessica while he was here. And these are things that are also important. So I know it's long-winded, but I have to say these things because if I just hop into it later on and try and come back to it, it's not gonna make as much sense. So that's basically what I'm doing. Next, I'm just gonna talk about the stuff that he did with Jessica, and then it gets real. So yeah.
Like I said, we're going to touch up some stuff on this book. So in this book is called Spell of Abundance, Love, Wealth, and Protection. So in this book, on the first page, actually, I have a glamour affirmation that you will basically say, you stand in front of the mirror and you stare at yourself and you admire yourself and you will say to yourself how beautiful you are. You'll basically seal this your beauty, like your glam, after you've done your makeup, or even stand in front of the mirror naked with nothing on, so you can really reaffirm yourself of your beauty, of your confidence and all that. This book is mainly for like self-confidence and self-elevation, you know, calling the goddess in you, calling the divinity in you, you know, calling the beauty in you. And also work with the moon, because the moon represents the woman, the mother, womb, water, all of this. So yeah, I have all the steps in here of all the spells that you need to do. It even has one for to get rid of unwanted guests. It's pretty funny. To get rid of unwanted guests. And this book right here, right? So I'm gonna run down real quick of all the materials that you're going to need. You will need a brand new broom. It has to be brand new. And you'll need a piece of parchment paper, a black pen, a black trash bag, because we're going to get rid of this sucker, right? And of course your intentions. And also I have spells on here that you can say. I have daily affirmations. And also I have spells on here that you can do every single day to work with the energy of the planets of the day, and also the archangels that work with the day. So anyways, there's so many spells. There's a 7-day manifestation spell with archangels. And let's see. A 30-day money spell with bay leaves and the Fihu sign, which is a money sign. It's like an F with the extra part. Anyways, the symbol's there, and I even show you like what you need to do, what the sigil look like, all that. And the keys to enhance your spell. So there are different things on here on how to enhance your spell and basically grow your finance, grow your love, self-love, self-admiration, chance to say to yourself to give you that extra energy to go about your day. And also tips to enhance your spell. Oh, I already said this. And morning coffee abundance prosperity spell. You guys remember I just shared a video about morning coffee and how important it is when it comes to hoodoo, and how you can basically use your first cup of coffee in the morning to manifest a better life or a better day, or to bring forth money to you. So don't let, you're already doing these things anyway, so you might as well just incorporate something a little bit extra to basically boost your thing. And here's to influence your boss spell. So this one, I'm sure people who are actually working are going to love this. It's to influence your boss and attract favors towards you at work. Because look, in this economy, we're all working and we need some boost at work, and we also sometimes need to be tied to our job, so therefore you don't get fired. You know what I mean? So there's some stuff that you could do to basically tie yourself to your job, and or tie the job to you. And once you're done and you're all tired of that job, you can get rid of it. It's not something that's completely permanent, but use magic, guys. It's here for you to use. You have the herbs in your closet, you have the herbs in your pantry, you have the candles that you could just simply buy some candles super cheap. Use magic to elevate your life. Use magic to make yourself better. Let me tell you, Jesus was out here using magic, okay? Walking on water and stuff and turning water into wine. Sounds like magic.